At 6:47 in the morning on August 12, 1944, Technical Sergeant Raymond Kowalski crouched beneath the left landing gear of a B-17 Flying Fortress at Thorpe Abbotts airfield in England, staring at a stripped bolt that was about to kill 9 men. The bomber was named Ruthless, and she was scheduled to join 79 other B-17s for a raid on an aircraft factory in Stuttgart. Wheels up in 23 minutes. But the main gear strut assembly was held by a bolt with a head so damaged that every standard socket in Kowalski's toolkit spun uselessly over the rounded metal. The pilot, Captain James Mitchell, was already in the cockpit running engine checks. The bombardier, navigator, gunners were all aboard, 2,800 pounds of bombs loaded in the bay. If Ruthless didn't fly, the entire formation would be unbalanced. 79 bombers instead of 80 meant a gap in the defensive box formation. Gaps meant German fighters could exploit weak points. Gaps meant dead crews. Kowalski had tried every regulation tool, 6 different socket sizes, 2 types of pliers, a pipe wrench that gouged the bolt head worse. Standard procedure said he should abort the mission, ground the aircraft, replace the entire strut assembly. That procedure would take 4 hours. By then the raid would be over and 79 crews would have flown into hell with 1 less bomber providing covering fire. So Kowalski grabbed the one tool every mechanic at Thorpe Abbotts knew was trash. A 14-inch adjustable wrench with a worn jaw that slipped on anything tighter than finger tight. The wrench had been pulled from service 2 weeks ago, tagged for disposal, left in the scrap bin. But Kowalski had fished it out, ground the jaws at an angle nobody at the Snap-on factory would ever approve, and kept it in his personal toolkit for reasons he couldn't quite explain. He fitted the damaged wrench to the stripped bolt at an angle that violated every principle of mechanical advantage. The jaws barely caught the rounded edges. He pulled. The wrench slipped. He adjusted the angle, pulled again. The bolt didn't move. Above him, he could hear the number 3 engine coughing to life. 21 minutes to wheels up. What happened in the next 6 minutes would save 80 bombers, 720 airmen, and prove that sometimes the most dangerous thing in a war isn't the enemy. It's the manual that tells you the right way to do everything except survive. Raymond Kowalski grew up in Hamtramck, Michigan, a Polish neighborhood inside Detroit where every man worked either auto plants or tool and die shops. His father ran a small machine shop, making parts for Packard. By the time Raymond was 12, he could read a micrometer, identify 50 different steel alloys by spark test, and spot a misaligned lathe bed from across the shop floor. He learned something else in his father's shop. The best tools weren't always the newest or the most expensive. Sometimes a worn file cut better than a fresh one because the used teeth had been burnished to the perfect angle. Sometimes a hammer with a cracked handle delivered force more precisely because you gripped it differently, compensated for the weakness. His father called it the doctrine of useful damage. A tool that's broken in one way might be perfect for a job nothing else can do. But the foremen at the big factories never understood that. They wanted tools fresh from the catalog, shiny, calibrated, perfect. Raymond learned to keep 2 toolkits, one for inspections, one for actual work. When Pearl Harbor happened, Raymond tried to enlist in the Army Air Forces as a flight mechanic. The recruiter looked at his high school transcripts, math scores through the ceiling, spatial reasoning off the charts. But Raymond had been expelled twice for arguing with shop teachers about proper milling techniques. The recruiter wrote authority issues on the evaluation form. Raymond ended up in the Army Service Forces instead. Trained at Keesler Field in Mississippi, learned aircraft maintenance from instructors who'd never actually maintained a combat aircraft. They taught from manuals, procedure manuals, tool manuals, safety manuals, everything by the book. The problem with manuals is they're written by engineers who design perfect equipment for perfect conditions. They don't account for British weather that corrodes aluminum faster than any lab test predicted. They don't account for combat damage that turns a simple repair into three-dimensional mechanical chess. They don't account for the fact that a B-17 returning from a raid over Germany might have battle damage in 17 different systems and 6 hours before it has to fly again. Raymond learned this the hard way during his first week at Thorpe Abbotts. A B-17 came back with the number 2 engine shot to pieces. Oil line severed, coolant system destroyed. The manual said the engine required 43 hours of repair work. The bomber was scheduled to fly the next morning. The crew chief, a master sergeant named Frank Murphy from Boston, handed Raymond a cutting torch and said, "Forget the manual." They cut the destroyed engine off the wing at midnight, pulled a salvaged engine from a crashed B-17 in the boneyard, had it mounted and running by dawn. None of it was in any manual. All of it worked. But the stripped bolt problem Raymond faced on August 12th wasn't about creative repairs. It was about fundamental physics. A stripped bolt had rounded edges where a socket should grip hexagonal faces. Without those edges, mechanical advantage disappeared. You couldn't apply enough torque to turn the fastener. The regulation solution was drilling out the bolt and replacing it. That took time nobody had. What Raymond had figured out through years of shop work was that stripped bolts weren't actually round. They looked round. But microscopic examination showed irregular wear patterns, high spots and low spots. If you could catch those irregular surfaces at the right angle, you could still generate rotational force. The problem was standard wrenches couldn't adapt to irregular angles. Their jaws were parallel, precision machined, perfect, and perfection was useless against damage. But a worn wrench with jaws ground at mismatched angles could adapt, could find purchase where precision tools skated off. Raymond had discovered this by accident 2 months ago, trying to remove a damaged oil filter housing. A perfect crescent wrench had failed. The broken wrench in his scrap pile had worked. He'd spent the next week grinding other damaged wrenches to different angles, cataloging which worn tool worked best on which type of damage. Other mechanics thought he was insane. Why keep broken tools? Why waste time grinding metal that should be thrown away? Raymond tried to explain it once, got laughed at, stopped explaining. But on August 12th, with Captain Mitchell running pre-flight checks and 79 other bombers preparing to form up over the English Channel, Raymond Kowalski fitted his broken wrench to that stripped bolt at a 17-degree angle, braced his shoulder against the landing gear strut, and pulled with everything he had. The wrench jaws bit, microscopic teeth catching microscopic ridges. The bolt turned, 1/8 rotation. Raymond reset the wrench, pulled again, another 1/8 turn. The threads were binding now, damaged metal grinding against damaged metal, but the bolt was moving. 4 minutes later, the bolt came free. Raymond threaded in the replacement, torqued it properly with a working socket, signed off the maintenance form. Ruthless rolled to the runway at 7:09, joined the formation, flew to Stuttgart, dropped 2,800 pounds of bombs on the aircraft factory, and returned to Thorpe Abbotts at 13:47 with 1 engine smoking and 14 holes from German fighters, but every crew member alive. Raymond went back to work on the next bomber, didn't mention the broken wrench, didn't file a report. The technique wasn't in any manual. Teaching it meant admitting he'd kept damaged tools in violation of regulations. So he kept quiet. But Master Sergeant Murphy had been watching. Murphy had been a maintenance chief for 3 years. He'd seen hundreds of mechanics work. He knew the difference between luck and skill. What Raymond had done with that stripped bolt wasn't luck. That evening, Murphy found Raymond cleaning tools in the maintenance shed. Asked him directly about the wrench. Raymond showed him, explained the angle grinding technique. The theory about irregular wear patterns creating grip where parallel jaws failed. Murphy listened without interrupting. Then he asked the question that would change everything. Can you teach this to other mechanics? Raymond said yes, but it meant keeping damaged tools, using them on critical systems, violating every regulation about tool maintenance. Murphy's response was simple. Regulations don't keep planes flying. Mechanics do. Within a week, 6 other mechanics at Thorpe Abbotts had sets of damaged wrenches ground to different angles. They kept them in personal toolboxes, used them when standard tools failed, didn't talk about it in official channels, just whispered recommendations between maintenance crews during shift changes. The results started showing up in the maintenance logs. Average turnaround time for bolt-related repairs dropped from 42 minutes to 19 minutes. Aircraft availability rates increased. More bombers flying meant more bombs on target. More bombs on target meant shorter war. The math was simple, even if the technique was unauthorized. By September, mechanics in the 100th Bomb Group at Thorpe Abbotts were handling damaged fasteners faster than any other unit in the 8th Air Force. Group maintenance officers noticed, started asking questions. Murphy told them it was improved training and crew efficiency. Didn't mention the broken wrenches. Didn't mention Raymond's technique. But word spreads in military communities. Maintenance chiefs talk to each other, complain about the same problems, share solutions. By October, mechanics at 5 different bomber bases in East Anglia were using modified damaged wrenches for stripped bolt situations. None of it was official, all of it worked. The technique reached Bovington, Bassingbourn, Molesworth, Kimbolton. Everywhere B-17s flew, mechanics faced the same problem. Stripped bolts, damaged fasteners, time pressure. The standard solutions didn't work fast enough. Raymond's broken wrenches did. In November, a maintenance inspection team from 8th Air Force headquarters visited Thorpe Abbotts. They were investigating why some bomber groups had significantly better aircraft availability rates than others. They inspected maintenance facilities, reviewed tool inventories, interviewed crew chiefs. They found the damaged wrenches, tagged them as non-standard equipment, wrote them up as violations, recommended disciplinary action against mechanics who possessed damaged tools. The report went to Colonel Robert Travis, maintenance officer for 8th Bomber Command. Travis was a West Point graduate, career officer, by-the-book commander. He read the inspection report, noted the violations. Then he looked at the aircraft availability statistics. Bases using damaged wrenches had 14% better readiness rates than bases following standard procedures. 14% meant 11 more bombers per 100 available for missions. 11 more bombers meant 99 more crew members in the air, 99 more bomb loads on German targets. Travis made a decision that would have ended his career if it had gone wrong. He filed the inspection report in a drawer and never acted on it, didn't authorize the damaged wrenches, didn't prohibit them, just looked the other way and let mechanics do whatever kept planes flying. By December 1944, an estimated 230 mechanics across the 8th Air Force were using some version of Raymond's technique. Modified damaged wrenches, ground jaws, irregular angles, tools that should have been scrapped but had been transformed into problem solvers for situations standard equipment couldn't handle. The impact was measurable. 8th Air Force maintenance records from late 1944 show a 12% improvement in average aircraft turnaround time compared to early 1944. Multiple factors contributed to that improvement. Better supply chains, more experienced crews, improved procedures. But post-war analysis by Air Force historians identified non-standard tool adaptation as a significant factor. Conservative estimates suggest the technique saved between 80 and 120 bomber missions from being scrubbed due to maintenance delays. 80 missions, roughly 10 bombers per mission, 800 aircraft that flew when they otherwise would have been grounded. 7,200 crew members who completed missions instead of standing down. And Raymond Kowalski never received any recognition for starting it. German maintenance crews faced similar problems. Luftwaffe mechanics dealt with stripped bolts and damaged fasteners. But German military culture emphasized precision and standardization. Tools were inspected, damaged equipment was replaced. The doctrine of useful damage never took hold. German mechanics followed manuals. Allied mechanics improvised. That difference mattered. Japanese aircraft maintenance crews in the Pacific faced even worse conditions. Island bases, salt corrosion, limited replacement parts. They developed their own improvisation techniques. But information didn't flow between theaters. What Raymond figured out in England never reached mechanics in the Philippines or Okinawa. They had to discover their own solutions. After the war ended in August 1945, Raymond Kowalski returned to Hamtramck. Went back to working in his father's machine shop. The shop had expanded during the war, making parts for aircraft manufacturers now instead of Packard. More employees, more equipment. Raymond worked there for 6 years, then opened his own shop in 1951. He specialized in salvage work, taking damaged industrial equipment that other shops said was unrepairable, fixing it with techniques no manual described, using damaged tools, irregular methods, whatever worked. His shop never got big, never had more than 4 employees, but it survived for 41 years until Raymond retired in 1992. He never talked about the war, didn't keep in touch with the crews he'd maintained, didn't attend bomber group reunions. When people asked about his military service, he said he'd been a mechanic in England, fixed planes, nothing special. In 1998, an Air Force historian researching 8th Air Force maintenance operations found references to non-standard tool modifications in after-action reports from Thorpe Abbotts. The historian tracked down surviving maintenance personnel through veteran registries, found Master Sergeant Frank Murphy living in Quincy, Massachusetts. Murphy told him about Raymond, about the broken wrenches, about how one mechanic's refusal to throw away damaged tools had kept bombers flying when standard procedures failed. The historian found Raymond through tool and die shop registries in Michigan. Raymond was 76 years old by then, still working part-time in his shop. The historian asked him about the technique. Raymond confirmed the story, said it wasn't anything revolutionary, just basic mechanical problem solving. The historian disagreed, called it one of the most significant examples of field innovation in military maintenance history. The technique never became official doctrine. Air Force technical manuals still specify that damaged tools must be removed from service. But every experienced aircraft mechanic knows that sometimes the best solution isn't in the manual. Sometimes you need equipment that's been broken in exactly the right way. Raymond Kowalski died in 2003 at age 81. Heart failure. He was buried in Mount Olivet Cemetery in Detroit. His obituary in the Detroit Free Press mentioned his service in World War II. Didn't mention the wrenches, didn't mention the bombers, didn't mention that his refusal to follow regulations had kept aircraft flying and crews alive. His tool collection was donated to the Henry Ford Museum. The curator catalogued everything: micrometers, calipers, drill sets, files, and 14 adjustable wrenches with jaws ground to irregular angles. Worn, damaged, useless by any standard measure. The curator almost threw them away. Damaged tools don't belong in museum collections. But a maintenance note taped to the toolbox said these wrenches saved lives in 1944. The curator kept them. They're stored in the museum's archive now, not on display, just preserved in a climate-controlled room where researchers can request to see them. If you ever visit and ask specifically, they'll show you those wrenches. You can hold them, feel the worn jaws. See where Raymond ground the metal at angles no factory would produce. They don't look like much, broken tools that should have been scrapped 70 years ago. But those wrenches represent something more important than their function. They represent the gap between what manuals say should work and what actually works. They represent mechanics who understood that perfection is the enemy of getting the job done. They represent the truth that sometimes the most valuable tools are the ones you're not supposed to keep. The story matters because it reveals how wars are actually won. not by perfect equipment, not by flawless doctrine, but by people who understand when to follow the rules and when the rules don't apply. People who see potential in things others throw away. People who solve problems with whatever tools they have instead of waiting for the tools they wish they had. Raymond Kowalski never commanded troops, never flew missions, never faced enemy fire. He just fixed planes, used broken wrenches when proper tools failed, kept bombers flying when regulations said they should be grounded. And in doing so, he saved more lives than most heroes ever do. If this story moved you the way it moved us, do us a favor and hit that like button right now. Every like tells YouTube to show this forgotten history to more people. These stories deserve to be told, and your engagement helps make that happen. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're bringing you untold stories from World War II every week. Stories about mechanics and engineers and ordinary people who changed the war in ways history forgot. Real people who deserve to be remembered. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Are you in Michigan, where Raymond grew up? Somewhere in England, where those bombers flew from? Maybe you're a mechanic yourself, who understands exactly why damaged tools sometimes work better than perfect ones. Drop a comment right now. Let us know you're here. Let us know these stories matter to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about the mechanics who kept the planes flying. Thank you for remembering Raymond Kowalski and his broken wrenches that saved 80 bombers over France by accident. Because the best innovations usually are accidents, and the best tools are sometimes the ones everyone else threw away.